I'm Ruan, I'm an alcoholic. No, I'm very excited. Very, very, very excited. And riddled with fear. I don't know why. It's once a year it happens, but I'm scared to come to this meeting. It's too late. But it's come very much clear to me why that is because it's about me and how I feel and what I get out of it and what I think you people would think of me if I say certain things. And that's exactly or completely the opposite of what this is actually about. This is not about me, and I forget that very quickly. I forget that. And I'm actually grateful that today I'm able to realize that, and I'm able to realize and able to live in a solution where I spent most of my morning stepping back and forth into this fear where I'd end up sitting down and start obsessing, and immediately I knew what to do. I start getting busy and I start helping around the house and I start doing what I'm supposed to be. I start getting out of self, and it's something that I've never been able to do. So yeah, and that kind of also brings me down to something that I normally share on a sobriety or on my sobriety birthday when I do a share like this. I've always shared that I've never, like people say that they feel different when they were younger and they grew up feeling not a part of or they grew up feeling differently and I've always shared that I can't say that I've ever felt that way. The conclusion I've come to is because what I thought I was feeling, I thought was normal. But as time's gone on and I've had some time in recovery, I've started seeing and I've started hearing and relating to people's shares and started relating to behaviors that apparently weren't normal. So, and then also what it comes down to, yesterday someone shared something and it just clicked for me. It's one of those same moments. Someone, Dave, it was that shared that I would have fought for the right to do what I want to. And that just right there sums up my entire growing up. I fought for the right to do what I want to. I fought for the right to do what I thought was best for me. And thank God for that. Because of that, I ended up where I am today. Yeah, and it's most days I can't comfortably say that. I'm so caught up in my own bullshit and so uncomfortable. But because of that, I am and I have the life I have today. But anyway, I'll kind of start in the beginning, where when growing up, I spoke now about the behaviors and that type of stuff. And I look at my time starting school, and the behaviors I used to get by weren't things other kids did. I acted angry, I acted arrogant, and I put forth this mask that kind of pushed people away because I felt not a part of, and that on its own is not what people normally do. That's not what, you don't push people away to make friends. But with that being said, is that very early on in my growing up, I can see that I found things that filled that hole, that filled that emptiness, that separate from. I found sports. I used sports throughout my whole schooling career to stay part of. I used attention I had from girls, attention I got from friends, attention I got from doing stupid fucking things to feel all right. And I have friends with kids, and I don't. Okay, some of them I don't see it. Some of them I do. Some of them I don't see acting like that. And with that being said, that's right there is not normal. And that's what I think makes me different. So I say this year I'll change my mind. I did feel differently. Like out of 3, 1 I felt differently. Anyway, but yeah, then kind of I want to push forward to in 2010 was that's kind of where stuff started happening for me. 2010 we moved from East London to Johannesburg, and immediately I started a new school and leave all my old friends behind, started a completely new life, and from the word get-go it was that same stuff, that anger, that aggression, that arrogance, that everything pushing everyone away. But as soon as the sports, as soon as the intention from girls started, everything seemed to be all right. Everything seemed to just settle, if I can say that. I started feeling all right. And you know what, that, fucking hell. Sorry, I can't believe I'm so nervous. And the worst thing happened, like I start freezing up, and it just makes it so much worse. So it's slowly dying inside. Anyway, but yeah, so it's like I'm quite fortunate when I started schooling in Johannesburg at that time. I came from a very good sporting school, so I had a sporting CV sent through to the school, so the school knew I was coming before I even started there. So immediately I walked into the first team rugby. Within a few months, I had met amazing girl, she was first team hockey captain. She would become, I think she was deputy head girl, and immediately there, I was all right. I was fine. Everything seemed to be good again, from that feeling of discontent and feeling of loneliness and separate. As soon as my external circumstances changed and I started getting what I needed, I was fine again. I was fine. I felt whole again, Anyway, later, about 6 months into that year, I went out on a date with this girl. On my way to this date, I got into a motorbike accident. I got hit by a car on the way to the date, and things changed. Things changed from that day. I messed up my leg, vertebra. I had a slight, very slight brain damage, and I spent a good half of 6 months in a wheelchair. I think it was about a month in ICU, intensive care, and from there again, everything that made me feel alright was gone. Everything that I thought would fix me or thought made me feel good was gone. Still, yet again, I got all the attention I wanted. I got all the affirmation from this, people from school came to visit me, teachers, priests, I don't know, but I got this attention which I really liked, and I must say there was a lot of self-pity around that whole event, but yes, I milked it, I milked it to the best of my ability. But then still, yet that fulfillment I had was gone, and there as well I got introduced. I don't know. I got introduced to street drugs, but my progression of drinking and my consumption for alcohol increased from like massively. I've always drank. I'd always drank before that. And I've always drank manageably, I kind of manageably. I drank during exams and stuff. I drank at school. I drank a lot, but I still passed. I still went to school. I still did what I needed to kind of do. But when after this accident, and my life had changed yet again, and life started happening. My fixes disappeared, and my drinking picked up extremely. Like I've been sharing with a few people, and memories and stuff have started coming back of those times. And I remember, like, eventually, like, I started dropping out of school, or I had dropped out of school, and I remember it got to a point where my mom would drop me off at a bar or nightclub dinners at about 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I would get a tray of drinks, I would sit down, and I would just drink. And she'd come fetch me. Later on, and I'd do this during a school night. Not a school night, I wasn't at school, but during the week, I would do things like this. And it wasn't for pleasure, it wasn't for fun, it wasn't for a joy. It was honestly, I think it was there to fill an emptiness. But then with that as well, as like I said, I got introduced to street drugs during that same time, and life became hell very quickly. My progression on my disease lasted about 4 years. From that point, I kind of counted as when life started becoming really unmanageable. I started using copious amounts. It was around about 2010, so it lasted 4 years. And within 4 years, my life was finished. You know, I started stealing within 6 months, and I steal from my parents or from my mom. You know, I steal from family. I steal from people that the consequences aren't as severe as what they would be. You know, to be honest, I'm chicken shit. I steal from people closest to me. And then, yeah, it just slowly started getting worse from there. I started getting incapable of living and doing things I normally used to do. I got opportunities to go study. I dropped out of. I don't even think I did one term of studying at a college. I dropped out. I got offered jobs. Like my mom organized jobs for me. I worked 4 or 5 months. I dropped out of work. You know, I was incapable. I started becoming incapable of doing anything with my life. So that carried on, and in about was December 2009. This happens every time. December 2013, the 9th of December 2013, I went into my first treatment center. And I didn't want to be there. I actually got tricked in going there. I was in a psychiatric hospital after trying to commit suicide. I tried to overdose. And from the psychiatric hospital, my mom took me to this treatment center to go have a look, just to go see what it's about. And she left me there. And truth be told, the reason for that also is so my mom and them could go on vacation. They went to the Kruger Park. And that is what my mom's life had become. She would drop me off in a treatment center so she could go away and not worry about her shit at home, not worry what I was up to. She knew I was safe. Anyway, she left me there, and I didn't want to be there. I was there about 3 days, and this girl got admitted, Elaine, and I wanted to stay. I found a good reason to stay, and you know, it was quite strange that Elaine and myself actually hit it off. Elaine and her husband, myself, the three of us were going to have the three of us were going to have a happy laugh. Anyway, I stayed sober for about 3 months with this relationship. I stayed sober, you know. This relationship made me gave me sobriety. Gave me sobriety, it's relationship. About later, okay. Then eventually I went to go stay with Elaine and her husband. It's extremely complicated. I'm not going to go into that. And I think I stayed there for about 2 weeks. Everything was lekker, and towards the end of that, I don't know, I try to think about it, I can't exactly remember what happened, but it ended up with me storming out of the house with my bags, and I exposed everything to her husband, and I ran and I left. Actually, a few months ago, I found it, I saw a post from Elaine. Elaine and her husband are divorced today. And whether or not I take responsibility, or whether or not it was my fault, I'm sure I had a good part to play in the destruction of that marriage. Because when I left, I shouted everything what had been going on, and I'd left, and I ended up in the middle of nowhere in Secunda. And if you ask me today how to get to Secunda, I would not be able to tell you. But in the middle of Secunda, I found what fixed me again. Elaine had broken my heart, and I knew what would fix my heart. And I relapsed again. And I started using, and from then until that was not long after that, December 2013, till September 2014. That's less than a year. I ended up doing, and I fucking wish I could tell you the story. But I barely remember the process of what the fuck happened. From that, less than a year's time, I did another 6 treatment centers. I did numerous psychiatric hospitals. I can't even fucking, I probably still today remember the nurses by name. There was another suicide attempt in there. It's fucking chaos. So September 2014, I did my last treatment center, 1 year in Durban. The process leading up to that was quite special. It's quite special to me today. It's a very stark. Talking about that golden thread, and the process of me ending up there was just, it's quite something. I broke into my parents' place once again. I stole the TV out of their house and went on a bender. For the first time in my mom's life, she stopped. She said no more, and she had opened a criminal case against me. And as soon as I came home to pass out, which I normally do, I always come home. I'm a proper fucking mommy's boy. I come home and I passed out after the bender. She phoned the police. And said, yeah, and they fetched me. They fetched me from my mom's house, and the look on her face, the pain, and I don't know, tired. She had to feel to have done that. I'm her only son. And me and my mom are extremely close. My dad passed away from this disease, and so for a very long time it was just my mom and myself. So the pain I must have caused to push my mom to the length she had to go to say no more, I can't even begin to comprehend. Anyway, she had me arrested. I ended up sleeping in Tembisa holding cells in Johannesburg for the weekend. Court sectioned me yet again to another psychiatric hospital because I had just come out of a relationship, and I'd done this because my heart's broken and I'm depressed. So I got sectioned to a psych ward again. And it was quite strange. There I had met someone, a social worker, that suggested two treatment centers for me, both here on the South Coast. I had picked one further down. I picked one further down the South Coast, and I ended up coming to the wrong one. But, no fucking mistakes. I sit here today 4 years later. No fucking mistakes, But then again, like I said earlier, I'm incapable of, I'm the addict that book speaks, I'm the alcoholic that book speaks about. When I use, I cannot stop using, and I cannot stay fucking stopped. I'm exactly the addict that book speaks about. After everything that happened, the arrests, the how many psych wards, the guy in the psychiatric hospital the last time after the arrest, I used in that psych ward. I used on the plane on the way to the treatment center. I used at the airport. I used to the bitter ends. I have no way of stopping when I use, and I have no way of staying stopped. So me sitting here today is a miracle on its own. Me sitting here speaks of what this book, what this program, what a relationship with the God can do. Because I tried, like I said, I fucking tried. I tried stopping. I can't. On my own, I cannot. And that comes down to exactly what Dave shared. I fought for 4 years to do what I think helped, and I was killing myself. Killing myself with what I thought, what I wanted to do, what I thought I needed to do. Anyway, so just to recheck, I ended up going to the wrong treatment center. I got picked up at the airport. Very kind of them, fetching these two old men and a Portuguese boy. I remember the other day I phoned my mom and said, I don't think this is the right place. It was really weird. It was Brian, Philip and Hugo. Some of you guys might know them. I don't even know where any of them are. I'm sure most of them are still around, maybe. Anyway, those three picked me up. And I remember the drive home was fucking hellish. This little Portuguese boy just did not shut up. And I'm sitting there, and I don't know, but I'm fucking ill, hey, and I'm malnourished. I've been throwing up, and I probably looked like shit as well. And I'm like putting my headphones in, and this Okie is going, wow, 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 wow. Fucking ridiculous accent. And you know what? And then on the way, I was stopped at that petrol station just after Toti, and I had to rush out. I ran to the bathroom. I was getting very ill, and when I turned around, that little fucking Portuguese boy was standing there with a little sweet and a tissue. You don't know me from a bar of soap. I've been trying to fucking ignore him, been rude to him, and he's there trying to help me. It's my first experience of unconditional love, and at that moment, I don't really think it meant much to me, but today it's something I'll never forget. Unconditional love of that person, the selflessness of that person. Anyway, ended up going to this treatment center. I kind of remember arriving. It was dark. I started hallucinating on the veranda. My buddy tried to help me for a bit. And after, I can't remember. I remember emerging on games night on a Monday. And the house had just come off a games ban. So everyone was like fucking amped. And I don't know, you guys, I don't know if anyone knows what it feels like to wake up after 3 days. Wake up and see this. It was fucking nuts. Anyway, slowly, I started realizing, I started seeing stuff. I started seeing stuff in people that had been there for a while. I started seeing things in counselors, people exactly like me, people with exactly the same problem as me, sober, happy, and living a life. You know, the concept extremely foreign to me, and these people were doing that. And it grabbed my attention, and I said, fuck, try, do. And I can't honestly say that I went to treatment to get better, but I stayed to get better. You know, what I saw and what I found there was amazing. Then also, like, eventually I stayed a total of about 14 months in treatment. A little sicker than most, I think. Some of you look like I'm sicker than good luck. I stayed about 14 months. About 8 months into my treatment, I was allowed to start going out. I found a job. I started gaining a bit of freedom. My mom had arranged for my car to come down. And I was able to go in and out during the day. So I took Ashley out for her learners and stuff. So one day I'll drop off at the mall and I go into the shop and I walk past this coffee shop there and I walk and I see this girl and I froze and I stared at her, you know, a little creepy. Stared. And this chick was amazing, you know, that tall, dark hair, tattoos, it's like my type of girl. You know, one that looks like she just came out of jail. Anyway, so what I end up doing is I go back to the treatment center. I'll pick up the guys, say, oh, come, I'll take you for lunch. I'll be of service. I'm going to take you to this fucking coffee shop. It's great. So we go to this coffee shop where this chick is. Secret, my motives are in place. I've got a game plan, and I go there, and I'm fucking so shit scared. I can't even look at her. I couldn't even lift my head. I just looked fucking down. But thanks to a relationship with God, and I know He has a humor today. And she ended up coming and giving me her number. So she had been watching me as well. I didn't know it. And you know, so I do the right thing. I tune the guys, listen. Like I took the number and I threw it away, and we went on our way. I threw it away after I'd put it in my phone. And you know, and that dishonesty, you know, and dishonesty in recovery, I don't suggest it to anyone. Because what follows from there is growth. It's good stuff, you know. What I've come to see in recovery is dishonesty might start as a little fire. It's all right. No one checks it. It's a little match, but fuck, it spreads like a wildfire. Hey? It spreads, and it went, and you know, within a month, I had, like, so then thereafter I had come down to the halfway house. I was more able to see her, and we were able to go out, and I was able to go out on dates with her in Margate, because no one there knows us. No one there knows who I am, so we'll go on a date to Margate. And the whole thing, you know, about relationships and that type of stuff and early recovery, it's nice. It felt good, you know. But I tell you, the selfishness surrounding that, I had nothing. I had nothing to offer that girl. I had nothing. You know, today she's married and she has a kid. She stays in the States. I had nothing at that stage to offer. I was staying in a fucking rehab. I was earning fucking peanuts. I couldn't even pay my rent at the halfway house. And I think I'm going to change this chick's life. We're going to have a happy family. I'm a fucking mess. I'm not even supposed to be in a relationship with her, and I'm lying to her. I'm taking her to places where no one will catch me. You know, the whole relationship was based in what I got out of it. There was nothing there for her. You know, and eventually that dishonesty, those defects I was acting out upon, started catching up to me. You know, I ended up a month later going back to treatment. I ended up back in the treatment center, fucked. Completely finished. Some people in the room that they were there when I came back. I came back to treatment about 8-9 months sober, worse than what I was on drugs and alcohol. I came back worse. Anyway, so eventually I made the decision to go back. I got given the decision and I decided to go back to treatment. And things didn't just get better. Things didn't get better for me. It got worse. It got worse. I carried on acting out on those defects. I was hitting on visitors' sisters. I got concerned for that behavior numerous times. And to be honest with you, I didn't see shit. I didn't see it. And I just carried on, and I felt exactly the same way. I felt that fucking hole. I felt like shit. Eventually, one day, I ended up writing. I wrote in my step 11 bookie. I put everything there. I was blaming everyone. I was not taking responsibility for anything. It was also with this dishonesty, there was consequences. Consequences. I ended up back in treatment. I was studying at the time. I'd lost my studies. I had a job at the time. I'd lost my job. I had a car at the time. My car's engine blew because of lack of maintenance. And there were consequences. And I was blaming fucking everyone but myself for that. Eventually, so I wrote everything in there and I gave it in. And guys, it was in treatment. They read those fucking bookies, eh? By breakfast time, I was called into the office and I got given my reality. My good friend, Josh and Brian, and something special happened. I saw it through the love of a fellow addict, through the help of one alcoholic helping another. I saw my part. That same day, I don't know on the basis of where my God grows from, is that same day, after accepting my behavior, everything changed. I felt better later that day. You don't feel great after getting concerned like that. So I felt better later that day. The same day I got a phone call, my car had been fixed. I could come fetch it. That same day I was able to phone my previous employer and he said I had my job. That same day I accepted my part, and took responsibility that the problem is not drugs, the problem is not alcohol, the problem is something deeply ingrained in myself. That I accept that, everything seemed to get better. Anyway, so eventually I left the treatment center. I ended up moving in with a friend. And a friend that we're still friends today. We shared a room in the treatment center. We shared a room in the halfway house. We lived together for about a year, 9 months. We lived together. He's the best man at my wedding next year. It's the relationship I've grown. Anyway, so we ended up moving in together, and I was able for the first time in my life to live on my own, pay bills, go keep a job. I kept my first job in recovery. It was a cuck job. I worked as a labourer, doing in a steel works factory, carrying steel, packing shelves and shit like that. I worked there for a year. Eventually, someone also shares that addicts are good workers. All they actually need to do is just pitch. Within a year, I was running the workshop. I was running the shop as well. And like my wife, it started growing. And the thing is that my first 2 years of recovery, I kept everything extremely simple. Extremely simple. I went to meetings. I spoke to my sponsor. I did my inventory every night. You know, I still do my inventory religiously. I try. No, religiously, every night. I do my inventory, you know. I go to meetings, I fellowship. And I kept everything quite simple. And life just grew. And sometimes I must say, I look back at that and I really miss it. You know, I look at the responsibilities and the shit that, the good stuff I have today. I miss what it was like, you know. I miss my first few years. It was so easy. Life was so easy. Anyway, so after working for this company for a year, I started putting my feelers out, and I got offered another job at a construction company. Also, I'd worked construction industries before, so I got offered a job back into construction on a site in Gamalake. I don't know who knows where that is. It's there also in the sticks. I don't know why I end up in these fucking places. Secunda, Gamalake. Anyway, so I got offered a job there, and I ran through my sponsor. It was a great opportunity. It was like 3 times my salary, work buddy, laptop, phone. It was awesome, you know. So I ended up working for this company, and it was hard, you know. It was difficult. The gentleman I was living with, we went through like a month without seeing each other. I worked 7 days a week. I worked some nights till 4 o'clock in the morning, back at work at 7. You know, it was crazy. Anyway, but it was a good experience, good learning curve. So eventually, also they told me to build this steel structure, which fell over. As I did say, it was a learning curve. Today I know you don't build anything without engineer's drawings. There's a lot of arrogance involved there as well, but let's not look at that. So this fell over and I got fired. And yet again another amazing thing happened. You know, after I got fired, the first person I phoned was my sponsor. And I didn't drink, I didn't use, I didn't run, I didn't act out. You know, I phoned my sponsor and I dealt with the situation accordingly. That was the Saturday morning. Monday morning I was starting a new job. I'd gotten, within a half an hour of me getting fired and doing what I was supposed to do, within a half an hour I got offered a new job. Same salary, same perks. And I still work for that company now. I think it's the first time in my life I've worked for a company 2 years. It was my second year working for this. No, it's my third year working for this company now. You know? And that on its own says a lot. That on its own, okay, it is for my... Anyway. Yeah, it's not going to do that. Also, during that time, I got given the go-ahead to pursue a relationship different to normal, healthy relationship, type of relationship. When I tried to kiss her the first time, she turned away. Yeah, and she's completely the opposite of what I think I need. She's completely the opposite, you know. So I struggled with the whole relationship thing for quite a long time. I went to my first regional convention, and I heard someone share something. They said that you were not meant to be alone. God is prepared, right? Do you think you were meant to be alone? God is preparing you for someone and preparing someone for you. And it stuck with me, you know. And I think I found that person, you know. Like I said, I got engaged December. We're getting married next year. You know, we've recently this month we've bought a house. Bought a house together. Last week, a lot has happened last week. We've adopted a little woof. Yeah. When you pray every morning for God to please help you be of service, he might give you a dog. You know, so, like, and, you know, and I'm properly playing fucking house today. And it is amazing, and I'm extremely content with it today. You know, so, and I listened to I'm so self-obsessed, but before this meeting, I listened to my share from last year. and I realized something that, you know, I shared it last year, and it's my experience this year, is that my first year, and I had to go back to treatment because of this dishonest relationship. My second year, I got fucking fired. My third year, nothing happened. My fourth year, nothing happened. The biggest things I deal with today is myself. The biggest problems I deal with is the bullshit that I make. You know, my life is extremely, how can I say, balanced today. And what I end up doing is overthinking, overanalyzing, bringing self into the equation, and throwing everything off kilter. You know, I work for my father-in-law, and what I do with that type of stuff is I cause a lot of conflict because of my own insecurities, because of my own selfishness. He should be talking to me this way, to a point where once a year we have to go sit down and have coffee and talk about this bullshit, because we end up ignoring each other for weeks on end. You know? And I've realized in the last 2 years, it took me 2 years to realize this, is that every single problem I'm going through, the answer is on that table. An answer is in that book there. It's not as big as what the name says. Sorry. It's silly. Anyway. But every single answer, every single problem I've had in the last year, 2 years, through discussion with the sponsor, through discussion with friends in the fellowship, I have found the answer in that book. You know, and I must tell you, most of the time, it comes down to the solution I had this morning, is take myself out of the fucking equation. Like, I have extremely shit days at work when it's driven on self. When my day revolves on, I don't feel okay, everyone else's day is shit. I make my world extremely uncomfortable, and I make the people in my life's world extremely uncomfortable. You know? And every single solution is in that book, except for sometimes relationships. I haven't found that section yet. I'm sure, you know, it kind of comes down to practicing those principles in all your affairs. Anyway, yeah, I'm just going to end it there. I'm starting to talk cack now. Thank you for letting me share.